I once heard Wayne Dyer said these words: life is not happening to you, life is responding to you. And when I first heard it, I was like, wow, this is it. Life is just responding to me. Whatever I put out, life is showing it back to me. At that time, I was struggling. There were just so many things, working as a registered nurse in hospitals, just exhausting physically, emotionally. I was always stressed, and stress was not going away. It was one thing after another, just dealing with chaos on all levels. And when I heard it, it was like, am I really creating this? Is life showing me something? And if I change, just logically thinking, if I change something within me, then my reality is going to change. So I read many books by Wayne Dyer, and I've heard, his ideas about the power of intention. I knew how to change reality here, but I could not really live it. But when I heard this one quote, life is responding to you, Josie. Life is simply responding to you. Like, if I want to change anything in my life, if I want to change anything in my reality, then I have to give life something else to respond to. And that was a breaking point in my life. I simply started to pay attention, right? Where am I triggered? Where am I stressed the most? And I realized that my stress wasn't even physical, although I worked physical labor on my feet for 12-hour shifts, dealing with high level complexities. But the stress was not in the physical environment, it was all in myself, in my mind. It's how I was thinking. I would be triggered by everything and everyone. People will look at me, or people will say something, or the situation gets out of control. It's always the same kind of reaction, like emotional reaction. And I started slowly paying attention to what is triggering me. And I went from just unconsciously throwing my energy out and at the end feeling absolutely exhausted and drained, to finally figuring, wait, if I just take things easy, if I don't accentuate, or if I don't feed any of these thoughts of anxiety, any of my energy or attention, will they just disappear? And I learned the magic of life. Whatever you give energy to, you get more of. Life will respond to you with exactly this energy. Stressed? Here you go. More stress. So if I made a decision not to be reactive, if I would just let this energy pass, things happen. Boom. All of a sudden, you are triggered everywhere. But what if I just step back and I don't get involved emotionally with this situation? Will it pass? And it passes. Here is the law: what comes up must come down. Every negative emotion, any negative situation, has the beginning and the end. The only thing that will keep these negative loops, situations happen is because you are just bringing them back into your life. They're just like go up and they're on their way down. And as they are on their way down, you get triggered again. And then boom. And it never has a chance to run its full cycle and just disappear. I stopped being triggered. And I realized, okay, that stressful situation without my energy actually goes away faster. And gradually, one way or another, life started to change. Life started to change. And let me just give you some context. Like at that time, I was not just working in the emergency room. I had been dealing with at that time with death of my dad. So my dad was killed by a car as a pedestrian walking one night, and he did not survive. His death was really tragic and sudden. It almost broke all of us in the family, and we all grieved in our own way. But I felt like that was kind of a nail. That was just the last drop when I couldn't cope with the stress of my life. His passing was like the darkness was so thick and so dark. And I was just seeing more and more of that energy around me. And it took me the strength and awareness that if life is responding to me, if darkness that I see and feel in my body, it's my creation. That's what's truly happening. The grief, the pain, the emotional, just emotional separation from life. This is all happening, and that's what's manifesting. When I understood it, I started to seek light. I wanted light, and I started to make a decision that if I'm the creator of this reality, I can't bring my dad back, no matter what, no matter how much I want him to be here. He's never gonna be here. But I felt his presence in the spirit world. But then it was like the desire for healing. It was like the desire for healing. You know, in Titanic, there in the movie, there is a scene when Rose is, after this whole thing happened, and she's holding on to that piece of wood, and she's grown cold and numb, and it was her last chance to survive, to awaken some life in her. So she kind of opens her eyes while she's holding on, and she's in this cold water. And she sees the boat with light coming in, and someone on the boat is yelling, "Hey, who's alive here? Who wants to live? Who needs to be saved?" And everyone around was already frozen to death. But then Rose is, and then her spirit awakens her, just her last drop of life awakens, and she's like, and she gets the whistle. She starts whistling, me, I want to live. I want to live. And she gets saved, and she gets on, the boat. It was, the savior boat. So she was saved by her own decision to live. In some cases, it's like life has to give you a chance to choose life, no matter how difficult, no matter how exhausted you are. There is always going to be this call. Who is here wants to live? If I was in the space of darkness, one time I realized I want to live. I want to have life again. I want to feel love again. I want to feel my dad again, but not from the place of pain, but from a place of connection and gratitude. So that was my thing. Like, I wanted to get well again. So I stopped consciously paying attention to all these negative thoughts and feelings and emotions. I stopped supporting my family who was going through a grieving period, but they could not grasp this darkness. They could not overcome themselves to make another choice, to make a better choice. So I had to say, at the time being, I choose myself. Like, I choose my life. I choose my own light. I'm choosing to go back to light. So, and that was the thing. And life started to respond to me in a different way. Life was no longer giving me the same painful dark energy disappeared. And I realized that's what it is. Life is responding to you. at any point in your life just by making the choice. I want to live. I want to breathe again. I want to have love in my life. I want to have a beautiful connection with the soul that appreciates me and wants to be with me. And that's my choice. That's what I want. That's what I'm claiming. Okay, that's what I'm here to experience. And you take that next step, and life is going to respond, and always becoming more and more harmonious, more and more resourceful, more and more connected. Now when I feel free and I can speak about a lot, like my dad's passing, and I feel his presence many times, but that's again from my place of love and connection. And there is this place of love and connection in you. That's why you are. That's why you're here on this planet.